Good evening, Baruchim Habayim Rabotai. Welcome to another edition of our Thursday night's class. Tonight's class is sponsored by L'ilui Nishmat Michael Ben Esther Zecher Tzadik Livracha. May the Torah that we learn and the outcome that comes out of it be an L'ilui Neshama for him. Tehei Nishmatot Tzvua V'Tzorah Chaim Began Eden Ha'inyon V'Ol Tzadikim HaChasidim. Amen v'Amen. Amen. At the end of Yaakov Avinu's life, he calls his sons. And he tells them, "He'asvu ve'agida lachem et asher yikre etchem be'achrit hayamim." Gather, come together, and I will tell you what will happen to you at the end of days. And then he didn't really tell them much. He just blessed them. It's like you call somebody and say, "Let me tell you what the news was today," and then you end up talking to him about the color of some fabric that you bought. That's what it seems like. Right? He called them, he said, "Come, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen at the end of the days." And boom, you didn't tell her. Rashi was bothered that already. Rashi brings out a chazal. He wanted to not just tell them what's going to happen at the end of the days. He wanted to tell them when the date of the end of the days are. Bikesh Yaakov legalot haketz, istakal mimeno shechina. You're looking at me, when Yaakov Avinu come in, we're 3 chumashim ahead already. But this is a foundation for what hopefully will become a series about Ikvita the Mashiach, the times of Mashiach's days, which it's very important to get a sincere grasp of Chazal, not a warped one with an agenda. No. Afterwards, he goes and gives each shevet, each tribe, the blessing that's appropriate for its blessing. The very famous great rabbi, the Rav Yaakov Yagen, asks a very, very tough question. If you looked at the blessings that the kids got, and every Beit Yaakov girl knows those blessings by heart because it's mandatory in the schools to memorize them. I'm not sure how halakha, according to the halakha, is permissible because you're not allowed to memorize Torah Shebechtav, but they make them memorize them, they get tested on it. No two blessings are the same. Well, Shimon and Levi got a joint blessing in a way. Thank you. Shimon and Levi got a joint blessing, let's say, but the rest of them, each one got his own. Yisachar, Chamor, Ganem, Ovetz, Mishpatayim, right? Each one got his own thing. If I want to tell 12 people 12 different things, or if we consider Ephraim and Menashe 2 Shvatim, so say 13. I call them all together to one meeting to tell each one something else? No, I speak to each one separately. Yaakov, you wanted to give each son a separate blessing that has nothing to do with the other blessing. And in order to give those separate blessings, he calls them and he says, "He'asvu ve'agida lachem." What's going to happen at the end of the days? That's the Briskerov's question. Others wanted to answer a very simple, what seems to be a very simple answer. That originally that wasn't his plan. Maybe his plan was also to bless them, but his plan was to give them a date on Mashiach. And only then, as he was going to do it live, God didn't allow him to do it. So he called them to tell them one thing. And it ended up that he also told them blessings because he couldn't tell them the original thing, or in addition to the original thing he wanted to tell them. That would be what seems to be a simple way out. What seems to be a problem with that answer? Or at least we have to understand that answer. That if you think about it, in the blessings of Yaakov Avinu, there wasn't only blessings. There was a little bit of rebuke. Shimon v'Levi achim klei chamas mechirotehem, amu lapam kiyaz. Each one got his thing, his share. Rule number 1 that everybody knows is that if you want to rebuke somebody, it can't be done in front of somebody else. Sometimes it can't be done at all. But even if it's done, according to the halakha, it has to be done privately. Now, Yaakov definitely knew that, right? And he definitely was very careful and sensitive to his children. So, that's even a bigger question. He gathered them, the Shekhinah went away, so scatter them and bless each one separately and tell them what you got to tell them. But for some reason, there was an importance in keeping them together. So we have to understand, what was the great importance in keeping them together? Comes the Rav Mibrisk and says an unbelievable thing. Yaakov Avinu came and wanted to originally give him a date on Mashiach for whatever reason. God told him you can't give him a date on Mashiach, because if they'll know how far away Mashiach is, they're going to give up. If somebody is not well, but the doctor tells him, hopefully in a week or two you'll feel better, so the week or two goes by quickly. He's not in much pain. But if somebody's not well and the doctor tells him, in the best case scenario, it'll take you 5 years to get better, every other day he's in the ER. Because psychologically, it's like a never-ending thing, so it makes the pain a lot worse, and it makes the fear and the phobias and everything else that comes along a lot worse, and it causes many more problems. So when God knew that Mashiach's going to be so far away, he said, if he's going to tell them they're going to have to wait over 1,950 years in exile, they're going to give up. It's going to be a bad situation. So it's better not telling them, and they'll wait every day eagerly, and that way it'll be okay. Up to here, simple. Comes to Briskei and says, Davar Noah, an unbelievable thing. He says, Yaakov Avinu, even when Hashem said he can't give the date of Achrit Hayamim, he knew the way Achrit Hayamim was going to look like. And that's why he said, Hey, asfu v'agid elachem, and then he added in a few words. God told, no, you can't say anything. Gather and I'll tell you. God said, you can't say. So then he changed his wording. Et asher yikre etchem, what's going to happen to you, ba'achrit hayamim. Not when it is, but what's going to be the signs, what's going to happen, what's going to be the environment, the era of the final days. And he snuck those messages in part, through the blessings that he gave to the tribes. That's part of what he did, in addition to other things. But what else did he say the Briskei Rav says? And this is the Briskei Rav's really main point in his answer. He told them, you know why I'm gathering you? Really, I shouldn't gather you. Each one has to hear something different. Each one really should hear it privately. It's going against what otherwise I would do. I'm gathering you to explain to you the core of the problem of Achrit Hayamim. That being that the Jews won't be gathered one day, and they won't have unity despite their differences, that's why there'll be something called Sinat Chinam, and the temple will be destroyed. You want to know how to expedite Achrit Hayamim? Hey Asfu, gather together. And to resemble that, he gathered them together in advance. He predicted the outcome of what's going to be B'Achrit Hayamim. No, that's the Briskei Rav's teretz. There's the next step, but it comes to Briskei Rav and says even a bigger thing. Each tribe got a different blessing. Let's say Zvulun got a blessing to be a supporter of Torah and to be rich. Two things that technically we would all love. I have a friend who's a very known speaker in Israel, and he's a guy with a good sense of humor, not dry like me. And he gets up on the stage, and for 45 minutes that he speaks, he has the place on the floor pretty much the whole time. But he has an interesting thing that he got from his Rebbe. His Rebbe's a Tzanzer Rebbe. Hashem should give him a long life. The Tzanzer Rebbe told him that how can you get up and speak without praying to God first, that you should say the right things. So, we all do this in the speaking world, but we normally say our own prayer silently on the steps down. Which consists of something along the lines of La'adam ma'alchei lev u'ma'ashem ma'aneh lashon. Person has many thoughts. Yeah, you think, maybe I should say this, maybe I should say that. But Hashem should put the right words in. That's it. But he says it openly. He davens to Hashem that shelo tetzeh takala mitachad yado, and he should say the right things, and the things should be pleasant for those who hear them, and. And when he finishes, the people say Amen. But they say Amen very, very quietly. And then he always does the same thing. Every single speech. He's speaking for over 20 years already. He says, guys, that was an Amen of an old age home. Let's try a different blessing. You should have Parashat b'Shefa. And suddenly you hear a roar of an Amen in the room. Like, everybody woke up suddenly. I mean, certain blessings people naturally want. Sometimes a non-religious guy comes to you and says, can you give me a blessing? Because to him, if you're wearing a kippah, that's it. You're already a Gdol Ador. What does he know the difference? And al pi halacha, al tiyeh birkat hedyot kala be'einecha. That means any person should bless. Va'avalcha mevarchecha. Hashem blesses those who bless others. It's a beautiful thing. Not charge money for blessings. Bless. We should bless everybody all the time in the best way. When you tell somebody, have a good day, you bless them. Chazal talk about the importance in the morning of saying taf v'tava and saying shalom. Shalom is Hashem's name. You're blessing Hashem with a person the first thing in the morning with God's name. When they asked one of the rabbis why he lived a long life, what was the merit? So believe it or not, he didn't say that he used anti-aging products or growth hormones or this or that. No. He said, because there was never a time that somebody told me shalom before I told him. Me'olam, never. There was never a time that somebody beat me to it to say hello. And that's why Hashem blessed him back. So Zvulun got that blessing. I picked Zvulun first, even though in a way it should have been picked last, because that's something that we relate to. Issachar got a blessing, which to some might even be a curse. It's the greatest blessing in the world by far, but you have to be mature and a man of faith to understand it. He got a blessing technically to be poor, to live the life of a donkey, to carry the weight of Torah, all Torah, and to have nothing and to have to rely on his brother to support him. To some people today, that would look like a curse. And to him, that was the greatest blessing he could have gotten. Torah in this world today is from that blessing of Yisachar. Yisachar chamor gan rovetz b'nei mishpatayim. Vayal menucha ki tov. He saw that that's what's good. That's the ultimate good. That's a lot better than a temporary blessing or something in the interim. When Yisachar got this, he could have technically, not Yisachar, God forbid, because he understood it and he was the happiest man in the world. He could have been jealous of Zvulun, or vice versa. Zvulun could have been jealous of Yisachar. Rav Shach Zitzal, Maran HaRosh Shiva, Zchutei Yagen Aleinu, once asked a friend of mine who was extremely wealthy, we're talking about in the middle of the 90s, there were less wealthy Jews like today, and he asked him, what do you have in life? And this guy told him, what do you mean, what do I have in life? Billions of dollars and houses and yachts and planes and this and that. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. Shach stopped him after 3 seconds. He couldn't even hear these words. And he told him, what do you have that has meaning in life? So he started telling him, I support hundreds of yeshivot and organizations and poor people, and I learn daf yomi every day, and I pray with a minyan 3 times a day, and I do this and I do that, and I keep a glad kosher home, and my kids are in yeshiva. And he said, yeah, but that's for Olam Haba. I'm asking you, what do you have in this world? So he didn't understand. He said, Rabbi, in this world I told you, I have yachts and jets and properties and money and everything. In Olam Haba, I have kids that are Talmidei Chachamim, I support Talmidei Chachamim, I have that covered too. I got the best of both worlds. I remember this like it happened an hour ago. Rav Shach wasn't a violent man. He was a very soft, gentle, old, frail, loving man. And he jumped out of his seat and he grabbed him by his shirt and he started shaking his shirt. It wasn't a big shake because Rav Shach didn't have that much physical strength. And he told him, you missed it. He says, yachts give you olam hazeh. I don't have yachts and I have olam hazeh. He didn't know what yachts were. He said boats. That's what's going to give you olam hazeh. He said, I'm asking you, what about your olam hazeh? What do you actually enjoy in this world? You have nothing to enjoy. He says, I sit and learn all day. I have what to enjoy. You don't sit and learn all day. You have nothing to enjoy. So thank God, at least you get a little dose maybe through daf yomi if you didn't fall asleep. That was, Chaim shtei b'hem ahavat Torah. So for one who doesn't understand the spiritual pleasure, so lefi dargato, he's going to be jealous of Zvulun's blessing. The one that does understand is going to be jealous of Yisachar's blessing, but one way or the other, there's room for jealousy. And the same thing with all the Shvatim. I just picked those two because those are easy to relate to the example. But each Shevet got his own blessing in his own way. And what's going to be? It's causing jealousy. Right, there's a known thing, the Chazal talk about it clearly. Rishonim have great length to explain the Chazal at much more length, that the Shvatim were jealous of Yosef, they sold him. As a result, a short-term tragedy came out and a long-term benefit came out. When Yosef finally told them that he's Yosef and sent them back to his father, so he sends them up with gifts, and he gives all of them one type of gift and one brother a different gift, 5 times what everybody else got. What do you mean? All the tragedy started with jealousy, so now you're starting it again? So Chazal say that he did that purposely, to tell them, learn how not to be jealous, because that's what caused this in the first place. Yaakov Avinu paid the price of jealousy. He didn't see his son for 22 years. 22 years he was mourning. because he thought he wasn't sure if he was alive or dead or what the situation was. He didn't have Ruach HaKodesh for 22 years as a result of that. No Nivuah, because Nivuah is only Shoreh Mitoch Simcha. So he didn't learn the price of jealousy. He knew it very well. So now he's going to go give different blessings to different sons live, and he's going to tell them that this has to do with Achrit Hayamim. It's very interesting. More than that, he appoints a king, Yehuda. He rebukes him in a way, but at the end of the day, through the blessing, he told Yehuda that Malchut is going to be through him forever. One day when Mashiach comes, inshallah bimhera v'yameinu, a second earlier, it's going to be David HaMelech's child. Great, whatever grandchild, but child. That should be the ultimate jealousy, no? He gets that, we don't. And Yaakov Avinu is instigating this. It's a pele. It's a pele. Comes the Brisker Rov and says an unbelievable pshat. The Brisker Rov says, Yaakov Avinu did it deliberately, for the same reason that Yosef did it. He told it, Sfu, gather together, be ba'achdut. Achdut is very nice in theory. Today the whole world talks achdut, right? You have to love everybody, you have to accept everybody, you have to this. The liberals took it to extremes that we can't even discuss in a synagogue. There's no end. Love is a very common word today. Very common word today. In reality, did the crime rates go down or up? In most of the world, they actually went up. If we're loving everybody, they should have gone down. You don't kill somebody you love, right? I don't know how this goes in English, but in Hebrew, I see this all the time in the newspapers. Chaver ratzach et ahuvato biglal ahava nichzevet. A boyfriend killed his girlfriend because of disappointed love. If you loved her, why'd you kill her? It's like, along with all the other paradoxes in Israel. One more. It's not only in Israel. I'm sure there's words like that in English that they put headlines in a different way. Same idea, because this happens all over the world. But it's not. It should say, Chaver ratzach ta'uvato ki hu rotzeach. The guy killed his girlfriend because he's a murderer. Case closed. That's where it starts, that's where it ends. There's no, he's insane, yeah. You got to call a spade a spade. In life, when you start covering up for things, that's when trouble starts. Don't cover up for nothing. Call it as it is. To Hashem, we cover up. We say he's an oines, he's a shoygig, he's this, he's that. So it shouldn't be a kitrug on Am Yisrael. But to publish a headline that's the opposite extreme is just encouraging more crime. Because suddenly it's not a bad thing to do. Comes Yaakov Avinu and tells his kids like this. It's going to be a temple. It's going to be destroyed. It's going to be destroyed because people don't get along. And then it's going to come a generation, Ba'achrit Hayamim. And I'm adding on a little bit to the Brisker Rov. He didn't say it exactly this way, but the ideas from him, the foundations from him, that they're going to promote the value of love. But they're going to live the life that's farthest from it. In words, they're going to talk love all day. But in reality, they're going to be the opposite extreme. And you have to avoid falling into that trap. Because that is the only thing that's going to save the Jewish nation. And that we say, Romimot el bigronam. Some people talk very highly, very high concepts, very special. V'cherev pipiot biadam, but their hands are filled with swords to dagger the other person, to be backstabbers. And that's unfortunately way too common. I don't know if there's a legitimate source to this, but there's definitely a song like this. Shomreini el me'ohavai shebilvavam einam ela sonai. God, please protect me from those who play that they love me, but in reality, they're my biggest haters. Comes Yaakov Avinu and says, so how do you test yourself? How do you know if I'm a person who really loves somebody else, or it's just lip service, because that's the trend of society? And don't tell me we don't do things because of trends of society. We do everything because of trends of society. I think most of us would have preferred to be sitting right now in pajamas. It's more comfortable. And in slippers. But we still came dressed. Right? That's what we did. Why? Because normal people, because society dictated a norm, is that people should wear clothing when they're not going to sleep instead of pajamas. Very simple. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a great thing. Thank God it's that way. Because in today's world, God knows what would be otherwise. At least some sort of norm. That means that we do follow suit of society. So we're all following the same pattern of love and acceptance and this and that, which are extremely important values. But how do you know if you're doing it because you really believe in it and you're really doing it? Well, the only reason why you're doing it is because that's the lip service of people. How do you know? How do you know? Comes to Brisker and he tells the Shvatim an unbelievable idea. He said, I'm gathering you together. And I'm going to tell you, that's going to happen to you. As a result of Galut, that's going to need Achit Hayamim Ikveta Demshicha. And in Ikveta Demshicha, there'll be a time that everybody's going to preach love. And now you're going to want to test how your love is true. Really, now I should throw you out and give each one a blessing separately. But I'm going to keep you all in the same room, and I'm going to look and see how big your smile is when you hear me giving your brother a blessing that I didn't give you. When I made Zvulun the rich man, when I made Yisachar Le'avdil so much greater, the great Talmid Chacham, when I made Yehuda the king, when I made this one, that, when I gave each one his appointment, were you happy for him? Were you excited? Or were you like, why didn't I get that? It's not fair. I wanted that. If it's I wanted that, it's not fair, then no, Achit Hayamim still has a long way to go. But if you were happy and you're like, wow, amazing, then you know you're on the right track. It's brought down in many Sfarim. I love quoting from sources, but this was so many that the sources don't end. But the latest written source that I saw is a sefer called V'Yigata, written of Rav Yaakov Galinsky's teachings, that he explains a pasuk. It's not him, he quotes it from others, but I just don't remember where he quoted it from. Chazal teaches us a pasuk, Tov lechet beit avel milechet beit mishteh. Why? Because in theory what that means is, if you have a choice to go tonight to a funeral or to a wedding, and you can't do both, if you could do both, go to both. But if you can't do both, so go to the funeral and not to the wedding. Why? Because from a funeral you'll gain something. You'll realize life's not a joke. It ends at a certain point, and you may as well do something productive while you're here. But from something else, a wedding, not only is it not productive, if it's not separate, it's counterproductive. You just lost your Gan Eden in 3 seconds. And if people are dressed inappropriately, it's double counterproductive, because now you have 2 strikes working against you. And on top of that, if you belong to certain communities, it also costs you $500 to walk into the door. So now you're $500 poorer. So nothing came out of it. So v'achai, you want chiyut, you want to stay alive, you tell me both, but funerals are cheaper, go there. That's a proof from the pasuk that to charge money by askarot is insanity. Right? That's the idea. The pasuk says that this one costs us one. But Abyanka Galinsky brings down over there, I wish I remembered from where he brought it down. He says in a very scary fact, and it's hard to hear, but it's so true that it's painful. He says if a person has to pick, if he wants to go to somebody's funeral or wedding, he's always going to pick to go to a funeral. Because in a funeral, there's nothing to be jealous of. He's dead, I'm alive. In a wedding, he's married, I'm single. Or even if I'm married, he has the money to make $1 million wedding, and I only made a $10,000 wedding. One is what to be jealous of, the other one is not to be jealous of. Come Chazal and say, Tov lechet beit avel. You pick to go to sad places, because that's a lot easier for you. Milechet beit mishteh, and to go celebrate with other people. Ve'achai, you're alive, yitene libo, pay attention to how sick you are, and change your ways. Why aren't we equally compassionate? Why aren't we equally happy as we are compassionate? If we would hear that down the block there's a kid who's unconscious now and emergency needs somebody to pick him up and take him to the hospital because that cell is not available, we'd stop the shir, right? Everybody would go running. But if we hear that the guy just had a baby boy and he's standing outside of the shul, would everybody go running to tell him? No. If you happen to see him, you'll be polite. You'll shake his hand. Tov lechet beit avel, milechet beit mishteh. One is better than the other. It's such a painful reality. It's a pshat that when I saw it the first time, I was frozen looking at the page over and over again. I was like, this is so scary how true it is. So scary. I had more people that came to be Menachem over me by my Shiva, when I said Shiva, than I had by my wedding. That's frightening, the thought of it. And it's not because I didn't invite. I didn't invite anybody. It was one big invitation. The whole world was welcome. And everybody knew I was a popular guy. Not that I had a small wedding, Hashem, there were over 1,000 people, but still, by Shiva it was much more. Why? It's easier. It's easier to see somebody in his bad times than to see somebody in his good times. And Yaakov Avinu wanted to say, you want Mashiach? Learn to be happy for others. He has more than me, and I'm happy about it. And now I'm going to tell you the next level of what really should be. My Rebbe Zechet Tzadik V'Kadosh Livracha Zchuto Yagen Aleinu once told me that he says, I can make a promise, but I'm scared to do it because it's going to become another one of these Gula trends, and I don't like these Gula trends. That's what he told me in those words. That if somebody would take upon himself that he davens for other people to have a better life than him, meaning more than him, he needs money. So he davens for himself that he should get a job that pays him well. And then the same sentence before he davens for himself, that was his words. Before he prays himself, he prays for his friend who's not doing well, that Hashem give him parnasa and he should always be a lot richer than me. He said the prayers will be answered right away. It's an amazing thing. That's what he told me. He said, I wouldn't make it famous because it's going to become a new Zgula trend and I don't like those things. Now he's not alive anymore, so I feel I'm allowed to say all the things that he told me during his life that he doesn't want famous. So from Shamayim, will make them happen. But it's an unbelievable thing. You know what an ayin tovah you have to daven to Hashem? He should have more than me. You know what a good eye you have to have for that? You know what a level spiritually you have to be on that? That's like the ultimate challenge. That's like God holding you to a standard that even humans can barely live up to. Any human can barely live up to. But believe it or not, many did. Many Gedolei Yisrael did. Many simple people did. And according to one Midrash in Eicha, the whole Beit HaMikdash is going to be built because of that, in merit of that. B'chelko shel binyamin. That's what the Brisker is saying. Unbelievable thing. Unbelievable thing. Our parasha, spies, shlach, we're sending spies. Our is a very general term, with Israel and us we have a discrepancy. What was their real sin? They were sent on a job. Go check out what's going on in Israel, come back with a report. Go check out what's going on in Israel, come back with a report. They went, they came back with a report. Did they lie? No, check the psukim. They, word for word, everything was exact. They reported what they saw. And they got punished, such a punishment, the Jewish nation. Tisha B'Av happened because of it. One big tragedy. One big tragedy. There are a lot of explanations in Chazal. Even a lot of the explanations need a lot of explanation. Every year we said all different explanations. But when you look at Rashi and the Rishonim, the simple understanding of Chazal is that they were scared for the Jews to go into Israel because they knew that they're leaders now. When the Jews go in Israel, Lav Dafka, they might not be leaders. And they wanted to hold on to their positions. And they did what they can to hold on to their position for as long as they can. Meaning, atem bechitem bechiyashel, you have to understand what that means. We're talking about great people, so obviously I didn't explain it enough. But tonight we would be here until tomorrow to try and just explain that point alone. And in previous years, you can listen to the recordings, we explained it over the course of many classes. But if you think about it, analyze it for a second. Shabbat happened because atem bechitem bechiyashel chinam, you cried for no reason. I'm going to cause you to cry forever. On that, not forever, but until Mashiach comes on that day. As a result of people not being happy that somebody else should have more power than them. Should be more successful than them. I have a personal thing I'll share with you that it's not me. I learned it from my Rebbe. He was the one who actually almost gave me the words. He told me he doesn't want to give me the actual words, so it should be real, it should be mine. He said, David HaMelech, when he started his day, Chazal say, Gmaram Brachot, he used to tell Kal Yisrael, "Lechu v'itparnesu ze mizeh." Go do business with each other, meaning help each other out with parnasa. We see the great importance of supporting Jewish stores as opposed to Goyim stores and other things. There's a big inyan in that. Yeah, you can buy it in ShopRite for 5 cents cheaper. Give a Jew parnasa. It's your friend, it's your neighbor, it's a member of your shul, it's a member of your community. Even if it's a stranger, it's your brother, what does it make a difference? Give a yid parnasa. There's halachot. If a Jew overcharges, you can't take advantage, but up to 15%. And nobody became poor from doing the right thing. Give a Jew parnasa. What's that? What's the big deal? What's the big deal? And it never fails. Hashem pays back those that do the right, that make the right choices in situations like that. And Amazon stole that mitzvah from us. Not only because of price. If it's more than 15% difference, then of course, Hashem doesn't want you wasting money. And Jews should also be reasonable and charge reasonable prices. But Amazon stole it because of convenience. Why should I go to the store, even if it's the same price? It's going to be delivered to my house tomorrow, prime shipment. Or in New York, I heard it's already down to 3 hours or something. So the convenience destroyed all the brick and mortar, and Jews were always in brick and mortar. Thank God now they're becoming Amazon sellers too, but you don't know who's who, so I don't know if you could be kind of mitzvah anymore. But normally when you walked into a store and it was a yid, you did a mitzvah. You're helping a yid out. You're giving a yid panos. It's an unbelievable thing. So we see that panos is an important thing to pray for. Chazal bring down that a person should even read Parashat Aman every day to remind them where Parnasa comes from and so on. So there is a thing like that. So my Rebbe told me like this. He says at the end of davening, you say Ani Ma'amin and whatever, the endings of the davening that some people don't know even exist because they're out the doorway before that. And if you're Ashkenaz, you have 6 chirot. If you're Sfari, 10 chirot. There's 10 mitzvot aseh d'oraita that you can do in 12 seconds. It's unreal. To lose that is like suicide. Imagine you had the opportunity to keep 12 Shabbats and the whole thing takes you 30 seconds and you just throw it away. That's what you have. You have an opportunity to do 10 mitzvot aseh d'oraita by one paragraph. It takes, once you get used to the words, 30 seconds at most to read. And we don't even know what's printed in the Siddur. Forget about that as part of that, That's important. Okay, but now we do. He said, then Hashem wants you to pray in your own words also. That's what Anshe Knesset Agdala wrote for you, of course, the most important, but not always do you understand it, not always do you relate to it. When you talk from your heart in your own words to God, Nachman has long pieces on this, of how that's the most powerful prayer, to the point that he says, even if you don't verbalize it, Nachman writes, there's a concept of Za'aka Gdola Shelo Nishmat, a great scream, a great roar that you can't even hear. Meaning it's a person screaming from his heart, but it's not coming out. Same way we pray Amidah. We pray from our heart, but our lips move, but we don't hear it. We learn that from Chana. And it's Nifsak in Halacha. So he said, this is the way your prayer should go. Pray that Hashem should make all Jews extremely rich. And he should give Parnasah to. I looked at him and I said, why don't I just make the prayer shorter? I say, make all Jews, I'm one of them, extremely rich. He said, you missed the point. Parnasah is a big test. If you'll pray that all the other Jews in the world should be richer than you, so then there's a chance Hashem will listen to your prayer that you should have Parnasah also. But if you want to be equal to everybody, so you don't have an ayin tovah, you don't have a good eye. So at that point your prayer doesn't even make a dent. He said, everybody is davening to be rich. That's a boring prayer, nobody listens to that. He says, when an angel hears a prayer, he's praying that other people should be richer than him. He goes to God right away and says, look at this. This is a different prayer. This is unique. And at that point, he says, the gates are all open. Nothing can stop it anymore. Because you stuck yourself as part of Kal Yisrael. You did the hasfu. And you also had a good eye towards others. And Hashem loves those who have a good eyes towards others. That's the ultimate goal that you can reach, is to have a good eye towards others. In the Kuntos Chadash called Matok Midvash, that's Likutim from the Zohar Kadosh on Churban Beit HaMikdash with Daniel Fish, Zecher Tzadik V'Kadosh L'Vachas Chutei Again Aleinu. I had the schut to know and even learn Chavuta with a bunch of times, or for a while. He wrote an unbelievable commentary on the Zohar. So he brings down, he took out different pieces from the Zohar that have to do with Churban Abayit. That makes people have it easier to have access to a simplified version of the Zohar on a subject. So he brings down a very known midrash that when Yirmiyah Navi went out from Anatot to Jerusalem, and he saw the Beit HaMikdash was made of Dgorim shel Avanim v'chomat Yerushalayim mesugeret. He saw the beginning, he visualized, let's call it, the beginning of the destruction. So he started screaming. So Hashem told him, Ani domeh hayom la'adam shaya lo ben yichidi. I'm today like a person who had his only child. V'asa lo chuppah, and he made him a wedding. Umeit b'toch chuppato, and he died by his only child's wedding under the chuppah. Bar minan, we should never know. And we're skipping a little bit. Leichu k'al Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, u'Moshe mikivrehem, shehem yodim livkot. Go call Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and Moshe from their graves, because they know how to cry. And Yirmiyah really went, and he prayed, and he asked them to go pray, and Chazal have a whole midrash, and it's a very long midrash, how each one went to pray, and Hashem kind of ignored them, or gave them answers to push them off. And pretty much the answer was, I have to destroy the temple because my children left the right way. The Zohar Kadosh brings the words of this midrash, but in the Zohar Kadosh there's another edition. And we know the Zohar, well, I know the Zohar, credit to Rav Daniel Frisch, and also credit to a sefer that I've been quoting a lot from lately that I advised you a few weeks ago to buy, called Kodam Shel Yisrael. The Zohar says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Avraham Avinu that he forgives the Jews on that they didn't keep Torah. Here it is. Hashem forgives the Jews that they didn't keep Torah. He forgives the Jews on that they didn't do Brit Milah. Brit Milah every Jew does almost, except for a few crazy ones today. But other than a few nuts, everybody does it. And those are not Jews anyway. They're probably from the Erev. So I think every Jew does the Brit Milah. There's a guy in Israel, that's what I'm saying, he opened an organization. He's fighting in court that it should be illegal to make a Brit Milah in Israel. Why? Because the kid doesn't have a choice to pick if he wants it or not. So how can you impose on a child if he has a choice to pick if he wants it or not? I don't know how to respond to such a thing. Other than a Jew can't talk that way, but a child of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov can't talk that way. I gotta say, I'm pleasantly surprised that the judges in Israel didn't go along with him. Knowing them, this would have been an opportunity for more fame, right? Pass a law in Israel, you can't do Brit Milah, what could be better? To them, that's, if you can't have a yeshiva, what's the difference? There's a mitzvah, there's a mitzvah. If yeshiva boys have to go to the army, when you cross certain lines, from there the road downhill is very quick. What's the difference already?
The atheists have a Brit Milah.
But it's unbelievable. Everybody. It's also healthier. Medically, it's healthy. The Goyim today do Brit Milah. They don't do it the way we do, but they do it. The Muslims even do it. We want to be less than the Muslims. The guy's nuts. I don't know what his agenda is. But yeah, it could happen. Hashem is willing to forgive even a person that didn't do a Brit Milah. That's what it says in the Zohar. Comes the Zohar and says words that are frightening, but frightening in a good way, not to scare anybody. To give chizuk, to know what to do what's right. The Zohar says, but you know what I'm not willing to forgive? That Jews saw other Jews suffering and they didn't care to join their suffering and to do what they can to help. And that Jews saw other Jews rejoicing and they didn't keep the pasuk. No, sorry. And when they saw their enemies suffering, they were happy that their enemies are suffering. They said, good for him, he deserves it. How many times do we see a Jew say that about another Jew? Guy loses his mind, he said, good for him, he deserves it. He was always aggressive in business. He didn't do it. Comes the Zohar and says, when a Jew doesn't help another Jew, and even worse, is happy to see another Jew fall, at that point Hashem says, on that I can't forgive. And that's why I destroy my temple. Here it is. The whole Torah they didn't keep, let it go. Brit Milah, the ABC, he said, even an atheist does it. I let it go. But you saw somebody else in pain, you didn't care. You weren't he'asfu. If you're not he'asfu, there's going to be a mess b'achrit hayamim. That brings the end of days with everything that Ikvad the Mashiach has to do with that. And that means that if we want to take preventive measures before Tammuz, Shiva Sabbath Tammuz comes in 3 weeks, this year the 3 weeks will be one big celebration instead of mourning, because Mashiach will come before, then this is the solution. To be on a level of noseh ba'olim achavero, And part of being noseh ba'olim chavero is A/B, like the second part, to be sameach b'simchat chavero. And it's a lot harder to be happy in somebody else's joy than it is to mourn somebody else, mourning with them. HaKadosh Baruch Hu testified on Aaron HaKohen that he got to the level of ayin tova and lev tov, a good eye and a good heart. Where did he testify it on him? He said, "V'ra'acha v'samach v'libo." And Moshe Rabbeinu argued with God for 7 days that he's not going to go redeem the Jews because it's going to hurt somebody else's feelings. He said, "Don't worry about it. V'ra'acha v'samach v'libo." He's going to see you and he's going to be happy. Meaning God himself gave a seal of approval that there's going to be joy. There was a great rabbi, and with this I end. Somebody politely asked me to stick to my times from now on, so I'm going to try my best. No, really, they wrote it in a text message with a name. They didn't hide behind the fake identity and everything, and they explained me very nicely that they're married and they have to prepare Shabbat. They go out of their way to come to the Shir live, and it's very hard for them when I go until 10:30 or whatever times I end up splurging to, because then they can't bake challah. And I agree. It's important. So I got 1 more minute. So here you got it. And I didn't mean that in a cynical way. I meant that in a very serious way. We know that in future weeks, in whatever settings it'll be, I'm going to try to start on time also. So you won't be gypped on time like tonight. But tonight there was an unfortunate emergency, that nonsense that I had to deal with. The Chidushei Harim said about himself, Chidushei Harim, Rebbe, Tzaddik, Kadosh v'Tahor, no matter how long we talk, it'll be an insult to what he was. He said that it took him 21 years of non-stop work to get to the level that he's happy for somebody else. That he's truly happy for somebody else. If the Gdol Ador, the Chidushei Harim, with all his Torah and all his Tzidkut and everything he was holding by and all his Geonut, 21 years he said about himself, it took him to get to that level. What should we say? You know what we should say? Time to start working. At least in 21 years we'll get there. And or at least by Hashem, if we start today, it helps that it gives us credit as if we got there. Let's say a guy is 119 years old and 364 days. 1 day left to his life. And he heard the speech tomorrow morning, half a day left to his life. And he said, I'm starting to work on it right now. And then he passed away 12 hours later. In Shamayim, they put him in Gan Eden with those that have an ayin tov and lev tov. Because he had a path. He started working on himself to be happy for other people. Hashem wants us to be happy for other people. That's the number one thing that the Rebbeinu Shalom, the words of the Zohar. When another Jew is b'tzar, and you don't care to be b'tzar with him and to help him and to do what it's needed. And that's why, by the way, I want to give a lot of you guys a kudos this week. There's a Jew that you don't know at all, and I know very little, who was in a terrible, terrible situation, but I knew it was true, and I knew everything was valid, and I felt there was a question of pikuach nefesh, literally. And I can't explain why in public, but literally pikuach nefesh. His life could have ended. And physically, I'm not talking about spiritually or that, physically pikuach nefesh. And I promised myself that until before Rosh Hashanah, I'm not asking, no more fundraising campaigns, I harass people too much, I'm done, it's not happening, whatever, I promised that to myself by Shavuot. I said, tough luck, it is what it is. I can't see with the tsar of another Jew. And 80% we cover, 80% of the problem we solved already, and the rest of the 20% is not so much money, and hopefully it'll still get solved tonight. And we put a Jew back on his feet. We give a Jew a chance to live another day. In Shamayim, that's worth more than everything everybody ever did their whole life. And I don't mean that as an exaggeration. I'm extremely calculated and cautious of my words. And it's not me saying. Rav Shimon Bar Yochai said that. He said Hashem was willing to forgive on Chilul Shabbat. He was willing to forgive on Niyuf, on the worst sins in the... He wasn't willing to forgive on a person who doesn't care and help another person. And when these Kedoshim in our communities and in our followers and listeners on YouTube and whatever get together and help a Jew who's a total stranger in his time of need, B'tzar, in Shamayim, that gives the most nachat ruach that there is. There's no happier moment for God. He says, now I have a real brick to put on the temple. Now I have a reason to bring down the temple because of these wonderful people. Ashreichem shezachitem, you should smile your whole life. Amen v'amen.